Welcome to a special presentation on HCEC-TV. We are here at the Elizabethtown Nature Park to talk about our Veterans Wall. Here with us is Bryce Shoemate from Hardin County Government and Carrie Christie, organizing.
And it's a great time for us to recognize our veterans, talk to them about the history, and ask them questions about what happened. And along with that comes a lot of healing, and there's a lot of history that we don't know and that they are full of and can share with our community. So today I want to welcome to our show Mr. Christie. Mr. Christie, I know that you have had an integral part in putting up the Veterans Memorial, or the Vietnam Memorial Wall here at the Veterans Park in Elizabethtown. And before something happens to either one of us, we'd like to document some of the things that went on with how this wall got started and what goes on with how people feel when they come out here and look at this, and several things that we've talked about before we started the show today. So can you kind of tell us how this led up that we got the wall here in Elizabethtown?
It started with, like all our veterans, when we came home, we didn't have a really good welcome home. And there was a lot of veterans, searching for a place to heal. And I met Joan Shelton, her dad was a POW in Vietnam, and Cindy Stonebreaker, her dad's MIA. And they were doing the same thing. And after I built the POW monument in the Radcliffe Cemetery, this wall got offered to me for sale, and they wanted to put one in north, south, east, and the Midwest. Well,
now I know that several years ago, when you started looking at it, there was actually a traveling wall that came to a Radcliffe festival. Is that kind of how that?
Yeah, and when the traveling wall came to Radcliffe, I organized that, put that in there, and we put it up. But I had the wall already offered to me, but I didn't know where we were going to put it at and find a location. The wall cost $300,000, and they asked me where I was going to get the money, and I said patriotism and God, because that's what I was hoping on. And then when the city finally gave us the land in the Veterans Tribute Park, we had to start a veterans organization, a nonprofit, to start the money. And then we got 10 veterans that donated $1,000 each, and each veteran that donated $1,000 got a white hat and a shot glass for their own personal thing, just showed what they donated. And then we started collecting money to build it.
How long did that take from the time that you all started talking about building this wall to the time frame that you actually got it up? What was the amount of time it took to do all that?
I'd say total time is a little over 10 or 11 years. When we first heard the wall was in Louisville when I got offered it. And then I didn't have no place to put it for a long time. Then after we did the wall in Radcliffe, then the ball got rolling a little more, got more interest. And then when the city gave us the ground and we started collecting the money, it took us about, let's say, 2 years to collect the money, to make the money. The city tourism of E-Town gave us $150,000 right off the bat to start it. And that really got the interest of everybody donating.
Yeah, because I know you said that several of the cities around here, to include Fort Knox, wanted the wall, and there was you kind of had a little bit of a tug of war on where it was going to go, and then actually, I guess E-Town came up with the most viable area location to have it.
Yeah, when we first got it, we were looking for a location. Everybody wanted it because it's a tourist attraction. But I didn't want it as a tourist attraction. I wanted it for healing.
Sure.
And they first wanted to put it in the Veterans Cemetery. Well, it doesn't belong in a cemetery. And then they tried to put it on Fort Knox, and nobody can get on Fort Knox. We don't know, I think, are the bad locations. And then we kept looking around here. And the city's first location they wanted to put it was down on the lower side over there. And then they wanted it back over here, but they found out it flooded. So then Charlie Bryant said, let's put it back up on here on this spot because it's high ground and everything else. But the tree in the background was a good background.
It makes a great background.
Yeah, and that's how we got this location.
And it's a beautiful area
and
here.
One of the best compliments we get is how quiet it is out here. The one in D.C., it's really noisy when you go see that wall.
Yes. And, the great thing is the city of Elizabethtown built this wonderful pavilion that is right here near the wall that people can actually come up here and sit, think about those kind of things. You all talk quite a bit. You talked about healing with the wall. Tell me what you mean by healing.
When we came back from Vietnam, like the same with the Korean veterans, we didn't get welcome homes like World War II got. Most of them got bad welcome homes in the airport. And it shut a lot of doors, and we closed all our memories from Vietnam off for the world until this thing got built. And when you see a veteran come out here, it's an amazing thing when you help them go through the healing process. Because so many times you can see a veteran come out here, they'll walk the sidewalk and they won't look at the wall, and then they'll leave. And then there's a few of us veterans out here, and we like sitting out here and helping veterans. And we watch that guy. The third or fourth time, we'll see him walk the wall, and he won't look at it, and then leave. And then next time he comes, we'll confront him and ask him, hey, how come you don't never look at the wall or get a name? He says, I'm having a hard time. He has a hard time with it. So we'll get him down to sit down on a bench, and we'll talk to him. And you don't want to talk about the bad stories. You want to get him draw out the good stuff he remembers about the people, not the bad. So we get them talking about them. And once you get them talking about the good memories they got, then that's part of their healing. And you can see the happiness and change coming over them. And then when we finally get them to get in front of the panel where the names are at, and if we can get them to touch that panel, you can physically see the weight come off of their body because they finally unloaded that guilt that they've been holding for 50 years inside of them. And it's just a really nice thing to see.
And while we've been sitting here, I noticed that there was a gentleman that walked by with, I'm assuming his wife, and I heard you say, welcome home.
Yes, I do that to everybody who comes here.
And because they didn't get that welcome when they first came.
We never did. That's one of the best things you can give to a veteran, is tell them thank you and welcome home.
People, of course, I've been to the site in Washington, D.C., and it's, so big. What is compared to the height and width of the wall in Washington, D.C., what kind of, I know this is brought down in scale, but can you kind of tell our folks what's the difference in scale with this wall?
The wall in D.C. is 400 feet long. Ours is 380. It's 80% scale. Our height is almost about the same height as the wall in D.C. because we got it built up on a platform. It's 18 inches of there. So we're about the same height in the middle. And in the apex, we're about the same height in the end. We're 2.5 feet on each end. But all the names are identical. You can find them. It's like the kiosk. We have a kiosk located over there. It's the same website as at the wall in D.C. where you can find a name. And we also have tracing paper and pencils over there for anybody to get a tracing off that wall. But I do like to tell everybody, when you come out here on a real hot summer day, the wall gets really hot. It gets over 400 degrees. On a hot summer day when it's in the 98s, that right side is close to 500 degrees. So watch your fingers when you get pencil tracing.
Yeah, so best time to maybe do something like that would be evening when it's cooled down, or early morning, correct?
Oh, the evening is nice because all the lights are on. The wall looks fantastic when it's lit up.
Right. So I know this got started and it took about 10 years to come to fruition. You've talked about people coming out here and healing. How many names are on that wall?
58,318. And when we added the dog statue, that was added because during the Vietnam War, dogs were considered a piece of equipment. And when we shut down the war, we killed 4,000 dogs, euthanized them. And there's a lot of dog handlers that left 6 months before the end of the war, and they know their dog that was only a 2.5-year-old dog got killed, and that hurt them real bad, and that was a guilt they had to carry, because dogs and dog handlers all had a bounty on them in Vietnam, a $5,000 bounty on the handler and the dog. But now when we got that statue, and that was bought by a family in the city of E-Town, donated that statue to the wall. It's brought handlers, they can come here, and they walk right to the wall and make a headline right to that dog, because now they finally have a place where they can come and heal and play homage to their comrades that saved so many lives in Vietnam.
And you've told me that the person that donated for the handlers also donated for concrete behind the wall.
Yeah, they paid for the sidewalk behind the wall and the bronze plaque for the dog, too. And they wanted to be anonymous.
People donated quite a bit of money towards this. I know you said that the E-Town Tourism donated $150,000. So the rest of that money came from donations from other people? Or?
I went around and hit every VFW within 100 miles of here. The club, everybody donated, no matter how small their bank account was and how big it was. They gave what they could, but they all gave. I went to Mitchell, Indiana, 110 miles from here, and I walked out of there with a $20,000 check from a VFW not even in our state. I had one guy that was watching the wall through the whole process, and when we finally got it built, he asked me if he could meet me out here. And I met him out here, and he said, I want to finally donate the wall. And I said, okay, so I got my receipt book out, and I was writing my check, and he wrote me a $20,000 check, an individual. And I asked him why, and he said when he went to when the Vietnam War started, he was going to medical school. And a lot of his other guys went to Vietnam as Navy SEAL medics. And he says, I'm doing it for them and for myself for something for healing. And that's why he donated money. But people came out of the woodwork, donated. The sidewalk didn't cost nothing because we got a really good deal from concrete, but people donated. All the materials under the concrete, the gravel, the rebar was all donated by Mill Supply. the community came on board with this project well in hand and say that this thing should have been about $1 million. And we got about $667,000 in it. The ventures were donated, but when I started this, I told everybody, we're not putting nobody's name on nothing that you donated to this, because we're not doing it for your recognition or my recognition. We want to recognize them and give them something.
And I know you've said several times, and I've reiterated this a couple times already, this wall is about healing.
Exactly.
Not about a public spectacle or a tourist site. It is truly about healing.
We got one of the nicest memorials in the United States. The people come back with the healing, but our healing also helps because we have veterans sitting out here that want to help other veterans. Because it takes another veteran to do that. You know, like when I was talking at Central Hardin High School yesterday, I told the kids, we have tour buses coming up here because there's an organization down in Lexington called American Freedom Festival, and veterans can't make it to D.C., so they started bringing tour buses up here so they can see this wall. And they come up here and do the same thing. We got veterans that help them get their healing. The veterans will go help them get the signs, and then American Legion opens the doors up, and we take them down there and feed them. The mayor comes out here, we give them a certificate, a thank you medal, and a coin from the wall. We have coins like this that the city made up, and we would give these to the veterans. It's got the city logo on the back, and it's from our wall, and it's got the dedication date on the back.
That is so awesome. So the challenge coin you give to the veterans as they come out and talk, and this wall was dedicated when?
April 28th, 2018.
2018.
The first coins like that were done by Carl Schwab's Ford dealership. And then the next set of coins was done by the Chapter 1051, the Elizabethtown Vietnam Veterans of America. And then the city started buying them now.
And with that, that makes a good segue into when you talked about Carl Schwab. You all had, while you were working on this wall and putting it together and during construction, you all didn't want for anything to eat, correct? I mean...
No, we needed 20 meals a day, and this town came out of the woodwork. We got 800 meals for free. We built the wall in 40 days, 20 meals a day. Carl Schwab brought hot brown sandwiches out here. Popeye's chicken, the Ford employees liked them. Rafferty's, sub sandwiches. The sub sandwiches, all in Radcliffe brought subs out here. I mean, everybody, when 11:30 came around, we didn't know who was bringing food. I did, because I'm the one who set it all up. But the guys never wanted for nothing. When I showed up here every morning at 7:30, I brought hot coffee, hot chocolate, soda pop, and water for the Ford employees, because I knew if people leave for lunchtime, they're not going to get back until an hour. But you feed them here, half hour later, they're going to go back to work.
So you
get
said
more work out of them.
Ford employees. So Ford employees came down from the plants to help construct this?
No, when we started this, my design, I wanted to have it, I had to figure out how much metal we needed to make the support to mount the wall on. So I went to the college and took my rulers and drawings, and I asked them to make a drawing up so I could figure out the linear feet of metal, because Ford was buying all the aluminum in the country. You know, this is aluminum. So when I grew up in Michigan, and I knew a lot of people worked at Ford Motor Company. So when I went going up there to American Legion, all my friends I grew up with were bigwigs in Ford. So I ended up in the main headquarters of Ford Motor Company in downtown Detroit, talking to the vice president of Ford Motor Company. And I kept laying out the blueprints out that I got from the college. And not to say nothing bad about the college, but they kept finding mistakes on the blueprints. So the last time I went up there, the Ford just says, we're not going to do any more of these. They picked up the phone in Detroit, called the UAW in Louisville, and said, the ramp crew is working for Mr. Christie. He hung the phone up and says, you get your butt back to Kentucky because you got a meeting with Ford Motor Company 7:30 in the morning. And that's how I got Ford Motor Company on board.
So every day when you came out here, how many on average?
I had eight Ford employees, 8 city employees, and 8 Vietnam veterans.
That's awesome. And so they were out here every day.
It started at 7:30 to 4:30.
And dedicated to helping put this up. So how cool is it now that Ford is making this the somewhat, as the governor says, battery capital of the world for the new Ford battery operated vehicles that they're going to produce when their employees, along with veterans and city employees, help put this and construct this. It's very cool.
And it was a good thing building because everybody had fun doing it. I'm an amputee. And I was the one running the show, so as long as I was working, they couldn't quit. And everybody was complaining, my leg's hurting, my back's hurting. I'm saying, well, I still while I'm out here, my leg, they were waiting for me to walk on my leg, and my leg stuck in the mud or something like that. But as long as I kept working, everybody laughed, and we all kept working. It was a really good camaraderie while we were building this.
Right, and it makes me feel bad now. I was complaining when I came over here about my knee replacement hurt me, and then you was like, well, Bryce, my legs wouldn't, so so we've got something in common a little bit here. So,
but it kept everybody working. It was a comical thing, you know.
You talked earlier about on the back side of the monument itself. The reason that you wanted concrete back there was because
we have all the sermons emblems engraved on the back side. They're engraved 4 foot in diameter. That way you can stand. We have a piece of sidewalk that comes right to the memorial, so you can stand in front of your emblem and get your picture in front of your service emblem. And there also is a POW logo back there, so MI or daughter or somebody wants to by their logo, they can get a photograph. And we also got pictures of Huey helicopter groups engraved on the back. The veterans are so proud they finally have a place to come. We've had people come off of Wisconsin just to see that dog statue.
because it brings out the good stories too, right?
Yeah. Every veteran has a good story, and that's part of the healing. You don't want to talk to them about the death and why the guy stepped on a mine or blew up or whatever. You draw out the good stories of what they remember about the person. That's the memories you want to remember, not the bad ones.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about, before we went on camera, about the gentleman that was worried about the Jeep and teaching the young man how to drive the Jeep.
We had one veteran out here. It was his second time out here, and he walks the wall, and he went and, like the other guys I tell you about. He walks and leaves, one stop. Well, this guy, we went up and talked to him. I said, how come you always leaving? He said, I just having a hard time looking at the wall. And then he said he had 15 names on it, so I got him talking. And the last name he got him talking about, I said, well, tell me the funny story about the guy. And it was a guy that never drove a stick shift before, and he had to teach him how to drive a Jeep. And he said when that guy was teaching him how to drive a stick, he kept hitting his head on the windshield of the Jeep. So then he put the windshield down, and he still was getting beat up because the kid couldn't get the clutches up working. But then when he finally learned how to Jeep, the first mission that kid went on, he drove in a minefield and got killed. And that was his guilt feeling, why he was scared to go see a kid. Well, once he got talking about the funny parts, laughing and the Jeep driving, that was his healing, and you could see it. But then the next day, he brought his wife back. And his wife called to us and said, how did you get him talking? Because he wouldn't talk about it for 50 years. But that's the healing. It takes a veteran to help draw it out of another veteran. You know, I told the kids at Central Hardin High School, when you want to talk to a veteran, say you want to know about their service. Don't talk about the blood and guts. Say, just tell me your stories. I know you got funny stories and you got other stories. I want to hear the funny ones. But once you get a veteran talking, that's their healing. And that's what I want this whole thing to be done, was a healing place.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't have it, a place to come. And we got one of the nicest memorial in the state of Kentucky and in the country. And if we ever get that medevac approved out here, we would have the top one in the United States.
And, you know, taking care of this memorial, just the maintenance on it, daily or, you know, weekly, daily cleaning. I know that you said at one time you had to buy all the cleaning materials, and now the city pays for your cleaning materials, but talk about that a little bit.
Now, the first 4 years when it was turned over to the city, I still do all the washing and maintenance. This wall has to be washed because as the rain gets on it and it takes the shine out of the black anodizing. And the manufacturer recognized it be washed with simple green. And when we wash with simple green, it puts the shine back in the on the black. You know, me and other veterans, I just say, I'm washing the wall, and whoever showed up would show up. Then last year, Josh was out here on a Veterans Day.
Now, Josh who?
Josh, the city jailer.
The county jailer.
County jailer.
There we go.
He said, CT, you know, help washing the wall, because he knows I'm an amputee. And I said, Josh, it's kind of hard me dragging 700 foot of hose out here. He said, let me see if I can get approval for this. At the same time, I was working with the city to try to get water spigots put at both ends of the wall, because when we built the wall, we wanted them out there, but we didn't get them done. So then veterans donated the money, we bought the water line, and the city put it in. We paid for the water line. And we also paid for the lights to light the dog in the back of the wall. But now the city's giving me, Josh is giving me 6 prisoners every third Wednesday of the month. They come out here and help wash the wall, so it saves my one-legged butt walking all the time doing this. But now the city finally gave me an account where if you want to donate to the maintenance of the memorial, you just write a check to the city of Elizabethtown, and then the memo department write for the Vietnam Memorial Wall Maintenance Fund.
Oh, that's awesome.
So now I got money coming in, so this is the first year out of 4 years where I can buy the soap or get whatever I need, and I can take the receipt to Kelly at the city and finally get reimbursed. This is after 4 years.
So you've had some great partnerships with both the city and the county to take care of the wall and help fun things, correct?
Oh yeah, Kerry from the parks does a great job out here. I work with Kerry on every time I'm out here when I'm doing something. The city backs everything, and they're real good on it.
Absolutely. But now, with this, you've had some trouble out here too. There's been some, I don't want to say vandalism, but some mistreatment of the memorial itself. And we'll talk about that because we want people to know what's going on.
Yeah, we have the only damage we've really had to the memorials on the backside, some people sitting on the wire mesh. And they should know that there's a camera on a telephone pole. They're on camera. So I put signs out there that says, please do not stand on the wire mesh. And that's the only damage we've had to it. And I take the wire. This wall was built to be taken apart, put together really simple. You can take any panel out if you want, and the wall still stands. You want to take the whole thing down or up. And so I come out here and take the panels down and beat them straight, paint them, put them back up. It's real. I made it so there's nothing hard to maintain this wall.
Well, and people need to understand if they damage any part with the camera up there, it's really easy to identify them because they can be charged with criminal mischief. And they need to know that that's a criminal offense, that if they damage and then have to make a payment to pay for what they damage. So, we want folks to know that they're on camera. They need to smile because they're being seen.
Oh yeah, those cameras will zoom in on the license plates right here, so they can see them on the backside. And there's also a camera on the backside of this building watching the whole front of the wall.
And it's terrible to say that we have to have those pieces of equipment just for those purposes.
Yeah, but the minimal damage has been minimal. There's nothing really been disgraceful, just somebody sitting back there, and I think it happens when the park's closes. But I gave the city lights to the city once they installed. They should have lighted up a lot better back there, but still they're on an infrared camera. You're not invisible.
Sure. And I know that some people don't understand the respect for the wall, and you've had some folks that wanted to walk up the wall.
Yeah, we had about a month ago, some teenagers, they weren't young kids, started walking on the top of the wall, trying to walk up it like a balancing act. But luckily, one of the city employees seen them, and they're in their trucks. They got a big loudspeaker system, and he turned that thing loud up volume and scared them, and they got up and finally left. But I had to go up there and wash their footprints off the top of the wall.
Sure, and I mean, it's all about respect.
Exactly.
Because that's not what the purpose of that wall is meant for.
No, it's honor and heal and respect.
Absolutely. Mr. Christie, one of the reasons we wanted to do this show is that so people understand, people know know the history, and know what's happened here. Do you have any idea of how many Vietnam veterans are just in Hardin County alone?
I have no idea, but we have veterans in the county come here and don't even know this wall was here. Because there's so many. We have veterans that come from this town that say, "Well, I didn't know this was here," and it's amazing that as much as this has been in the newspaper and on the radio and on TV, that there's still people that doesn't even know this is in this location.
Right, and I know this was originally designed as a nature park, and it is very much a nature park because people can walk. There's all kinds of trails here to walk on and enjoyment, and while they're enjoying themselves, they can come out and look at the wall. But that's not the only thing. There's other tributes across from the wall. As we go across the parking lot here, there's a walkway where people had the bricks that they donated money to put the bricks in and so on. So,
and the city also has one right there for bricks.
Absolutely. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
When we were building the wall, we were going to try to do a brick idea to make money. And since the city had already one going on, we told the city we wanted to start that program.
Very cool. Because
a lot of people would like to buy bricks.
Right, and as we look across, there's a rock now that's engraved, and it says Hardin County Veterans Tribute for this area.
Yeah, out front.
Mm-hmm. And with this going on, it's nice the city has set up that account because after we're gone, it still has money to take care of this area.
It's got to be washed once a month.
If there was something that you wanted to tell everybody about, or wanted them to remember about this area, about this wall, what would you say?
The best word, healing. I see more healing in this wall, and I've been to a lot of memorials, but I've seen a lot of healing here. And it takes the people to help do it, and I've seen people do it. The veterans from all wars come here and get some sort of healing on it. It's not just Vietnam veterans. The Korean vets, Iraqi vets, Afghanistan vets, they all can communicate because it gives them a central location where they can come honor memories and their comrades and whatever. And especially this dog statue, it gives everybody can relate to the dogs and what they did. There's these now, luckily, after our war, people can bring them home. They're no longer euthanized, and that's a good thing. But the healing is one of the best things that happens here.
Absolutely. You know, if we don't keep these memories alive, if we don't keep this history alive, it dies with all of these people that are listed on the wall if we don't keep these memories alive.
Exactly. But the memories are going to stay in us and who we teach. That's why I go to Central Hardin High School and all the high schools and talk to kids. I was at Central Hardin yesterday wearing my same stuff. This is how I looked when General Westmoreland pinned this medal on me. Wearing the same stuff. But I want them to learn that it's okay to talk to a veteran because you're part of their healing process. Just because you're younger doesn't mean you can't help us. Just to get us to talk. And don't go in roughly, just talk to them. Hey, you got good stories to talk about. Let me hear some of your stories. You know, you're going to have kids want to know about the killing, the blood and guts. And when they ask those questions, I just say, go watch a movie. You know, I'm not getting interested in talking about that stuff.
Because most of our Vietnam veterans are now in their 70s, right, or
Yep.
older, and so we're starting to see those members of society start to fade away.
No, exactly.
As we're losing World War II vets at an alarming rate. But we're losing you all as well because
Agent Orange is getting us.
Absolutely, and all kinds of cancers from that. So we want to say thank you for your service, for protecting our country and protecting people overseas, because I know that even this wall, you said earlier that the wall itself was designed by a Vietnamese American.
I think so.
So, you know, with that healing process, we want to thank you for all that you do to help the folks in the area and for putting this up.
Well, when we went to war, you know, in the battle, we fought for each other. But at the end run, we fought for you guys, everybody at home. That's what I tell the kids. We fought for you, but in the battle, we were fighting for each other. We fought for each other there.
And a lot of camaraderie came from that still carries on today.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Well, thank you for talking to us today, keeping this memory alive. We're going to be showing this, folks, on Hardin County Education and Community TV as we go through the years, and keeping this on file so that you can go to our site with Hardin County Education Community TV, because we archive these, and you'll be able to view those and pull them up so that you can teach your young people about what's going on here with the Vietnam Memorial here in Elizabethtown, and keep those memories alive and keep this, because this information that we've had today is valuable. And we want to make sure by doing this documentary that we keep these memories going and good values going that we've learned today. So, Mr. Christie, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today and everything you do. And
Thank you much.
we also thank all the other folks that helped you put together, because I know several of your veterans that are still here in the community that helped put this up. We thank them too for putting all the effort into this memorial.
I thank everybody that helped because it showed true patriotism. And this county, everybody brags about what they do for their veterans. And they step up the plate. Now they've got to just go step up the plate a little better.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us on Hardin County Education and Community TV for this special presentation. Stay tuned as we keep you up to date on everything that goes on in our great county, but more especially what goes on in your students' life in the Hardin County school system. I'm Bryce Shoemate from Hardin County Government. Thank you for being with us today, and be careful as you're out there. Now that young people are going to start being out of school and so on, we ask you to be careful and watch out for them.